sanctioned by the Indian Child Welfare Act. As that case wended its way through our legal system, it met at the Supreme Court with the very clear decision that the Indian Child Welfare Act trumps the wishes of the parents on behalf of the child, assigns the child to the tribe as much as property, whether the interests of the child are taken into account or not. And it is this quasi-property-based relationship which has been the source of most of the abuses that we have experienced under the Indian Child Welfare Act. And what we want now to do is to try to fathom how we can address that wound, that sore. I would be so extreme as to say that cancer that breeds a fundamental inhumanity in our dealings with Indian children. And that means also, of course, Indian and non-Indian parents. Those who are going to be with us today for the sake of undertaking this deliberation will be introduced as the sessions unfold. We're going to begin with a session in which we just review the legal history of the Indian Child Welfare Act itself. And in conducting that review, we're going to be paying very close attention to how the story has changed over the course of time for now what verges on 40 years and plus. What has happened? What has been the evolution? How much of it has been under our control? How much of it has met the original expectations? That presentation will be offered by Yale Lewis, a family law attorney, but not merely a family law attorney, but someone who has worked on such cases for a long time, from Seattle, Washington, and who therefore brings the reality of experience to bear in giving this account. We will ask him to come before us in just a moment, but let me first rehearse what the order of the day will be so that you have some idea of what you can anticipate. After we complete the presentation by Yale Lewis, which will include ample time for questions, we'll take a brief break of 10 minutes, and then we will hold a session in which we will listen to some of the stories of people who have actually been subject to the experiences unfolding under the enforcement of the Indian Child Welfare Act. And they will be introduced at that time. That will last for about 90 minutes. Then we will take another 10-minute break, after which we will then conclude with two sessions dealing with the very central question of what are the best interests of the Indian children, and an open panel in which we invite general question and answer. And then I will return to say something about what we've said, what it means, and what might be done about it. So, having said that by way of introduction, and presenting only the sparest of overviews, I now want to hasten to turn to Yale Lewis, who will come to address the history of the Indian Child Welfare Act. Do you want to stand or sit?
I'll stand here, thank you.
Okay, very good.